Hey you guys, I am back. My name is Nikki C. Patterson, owner and operator of I Prevail K through 12 Academic Learning Center and I Prevail K through 12 Educational Consultant. As an educational consultant, I teach parents how to disrupt the one size fits all practices, policies, and procedures of the public school system so that their child can receive a quality education. Well, not sure if you've been keeping up with what's going on in the parish. I live in Assumption in Louisiana, and my parish or the people in my education system just decided not to renew our superintendent's contract. Well, that started a whole new conversation. Why are our low performing schools failing? And why did we not give our superintendent enough time to fix those schools? Well, this is not a conversation that just started. This is a conversation that has been going on for many years. And so for me, rather than continuing to have the conversation persist on when my 8-year-old son becomes an adult and he's trying to fix it, I've decided to be the change that I wish to see. And so, as an educational consultant, as an educator with more than 10 years of working in the public school systems in Assumption, as a parent who's advocated for my own son to receive a quality education, as a former student of Assumption Parish Schools, I've decided to put my experience, my expertise, my skills, and my training to use and help people in the community who wanted to come together to create a plan for success, to do so by engaging in a book study. And as an author, I wrote a book called How to Win as a Principal. And the contents for this book came together because as a parent, when I was advocating for my own son who attended the Belrose schools, I worked closely with the principals and educators in the school to figure out what the problems were. And not only to figure out what the problems were, but as we started to work through those problems, we were starting to see solutions to solve those problems. And so inside of the book, I created a 9-step process called diversity. And diversity, each one of the steps of diversity, each of the letters stands for a different step of the process we can use in order to create a plan for success. And so in a previous video, we looked at the D, and the D stands for demographics matter. Who are your students? Who are your teachers? And what's different or similar about them? And how could that help us to win as principals, as school leaders and district leaders and students? And so today we're going to come in and we're going to look at the second step of the process. And the second step of the process is investigate the data. We know that the schools are failing, but now we need to take a closer look at why the schools are failing. When we look at the school performance scores, that's one metric. We also need to understand what attributes to the school performance scores. Well, one issue that we've seen in the Belrose schools is a lack of stability in the staff. Often the teachers are coming in and going out, coming in and going out. When there is no stability, then that means you always have to start from scratch or start fresh. Well, that means the students are going to suffer because they have nothing that has been proven to work. And so now we not only have teachers that are coming in and out, but now we also have scores that are not showing growth for the students. And all of those things are adding to our success or lack thereof in the Belrose schools. So in order for us to do well, we need to figure out what the problem is. And I want to bring in this quote. And this quote is found on page 79 in my book, How to Win as a Principal. It's on Amazon, or you can email me and I'll get you a copy of it. But there's a quote, and this is what was said about our schools. And this is when President Trump was running for office. He said, "You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs. 58% of your youth is unemployed." Well, right now we're in a pandemic, so of course that number's higher. What the hell do you have to lose? As an insider looking out, I'm like, wait, hold on. We don't have any black leaders in our schools. The majority of our teachers are not black. So even though the black schools are failing and you're making this comment, we don't even have autonomy or control over who's in our school, who's teaching our children, who's working with our children. And that's the data that you need to investigate in order to figure out who's at the helm of these sinking ships, who's leading and controlling and guiding them. But guess what? A lot of times it's easy to point fingers and blame and say, well, those black schools are failing, but who's controlling them? Who's leading them? We haven't had a black leader in the district. We don't have black leadership in the schools. So who is making the decisions that's causing that school to fail? If we point to the students, then we've already missed the mark. How about as some educators and educated people, we start using data? So where are our teachers coming from? What does it say about a teaching staff? What does the data look like? Which grade levels are we constantly doing poorly in? Where is the breakdown for that student? We need to look at a lot of data. So step 2 of the diversity process is basically to investigate the data. What is the problem and how can we resolve this problem so that we can move forward? In order for us to know where we're headed, we need to know where we've come from and where we are now. So we need to set a baseline for success. And I guarantee you, when we start looking closely at the data for the Bell Road school systems, we can not only disrupt the one-size-fits-all practices, policies, and procedures, but we can also start to see some growth. And I, for one, am ready to see growth. So if you're with me and you want to be a part of the solution to these problems that we're having, join the book study. On June 1st, we're going to host a book study where we're going to go through the contents of this book and we're going to see all of the problems that are in our public schools and we're going to create a plan for success. And the plan hopefully will be given to our next superintendent. So rather than them saying, hey, the schools are failing, what do I do? As community members, as residents, as parents, we can say, here you go. We've worked together to show what we want in our schools, what success looks like for our children. And when we're creating that plan for them, then guess what? You now have insight, firsthand information on what the problems are so that you as a parent can advocate for your own child. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you join the book study. You can go to Amazon and get your copy of the book, How to Win as a Principal, or you can reach out to me, info@nikkicpatterson.com. I do have several copies of the book on hand. You can purchase a copy directly from me. And so we can get started. You can start looking at the book and start looking through it, start reading it, and start seeing what the problems are. I know a lot of times people say black people don't read. Well, I want to disrupt that myth. As the person who's written the book, I want to help you go through the contents of the book. I want to be there as your guide on the side to offer any insight and information that you may have, answer any questions you may have about what the problem is and how did it come about. And we don't have the same experiences because we have different children who have different upbringings, who have different situations. And so we can all bring our information to the table so we can ensure that the problem your child faces in the public school system is not the problem that my child will face in the public school system or future generations. So we can bust up anything that's not fair to our children by simply investigating the data. And I pray that you will come along on the journey. So book study starts June 1st. Get your copy of the book. And I hope that you become a part of the solution. Talk to you soon. Bye.